We're here with Scott Morris, Vice President of Arcane Wonders, and in front of us is Sheriff of Nottingham. So what sort of game is this?
Sheriff of Nottingham is a game that is guaranteed to make anyone who plays it laugh. So this is a game for 3 to 5 players. It's the first in our line called the Dice Tower Essentials. These are games that we've partnered with Tom that he has played, he has enjoyed, and he thinks should be in most gamers' collections. And it is designed around the concept that the Honorable Prince John is coming to Nottingham. And we are players that act as merchants trying to get our goods into the city. If we get our goods into the city, then we get victory points for them, and at the end of the game, the person with the most victory points is going to win. But as you can see by what's laid out in front of us, there are legal goods in the city that some players have gotten through, and there's also contraband, which is face down. The contraband is worth many more points than the legal goods. However, you're going to have to take a risk to get them in, because the only way to get into the city of Nottingham is to go through the front gate, and who's guarding the front gate? The Sheriff of Nottingham. So what happens is, in a game, in a round, one player gets to be the actual sheriff, and the other players are going to try to either trick him and get goods into the city and lie to him. Other players may decide to be honest and good merchants and bring regular goods in. Every turn as the sheriff, if I accuse you of lying and I catch you in a lie, you're going to have to pay me a penalty that's on the card. If I accuse you of lying and you're telling the truth, I'm going to have to pay you the penalty that's on the card because I falsely accused you. So there is a lot of negotiation, a lot of sometimes bribery, sometimes trickery, and everything goes. You're allowed to trade money, you're allowed to trade goods. Lots of different things can happen inside of the game, and it's something that's very engaging. Lots of laughter, lots of talking, lots of people having fun. It's a game that was originally called Robin Hood. It was designed by Sergio Halban, and Tom played it, brought it to us, said, hey, we got to take a look at this. We enjoyed it. We developed a little bit of different rules from the original Robin Hood to make it a little faster of a game, and we've gotten some great reception. We've played it originally at Origins publicly, had some great reception at Origins, and then we're playing it here at the Dice Tower Con. We've probably played close to almost 40 games here at Dice Tower Con this week, and everybody has walked away going, when does this come out? When does this come out? So it's been very exciting. So we're going to have a limited release at Gen Con. It'll be about 400 to 500 units at Gen Con, and then it'll be on store shelves about maybe a month and a week after that, and the price point will be $34.99.
I've heard a lot of noise coming from this table over here over the course of the convention, so I'm sure it's a ton of fun to play. Would you be able to give us sort of a quick rundown of a typical round in this game?
Yeah, it's very simple. So there's a main deck of cards that's going to have everything shuffled in from contraband goods and legal goods. And during your turn, you have a bag that you're going to try to bring into Nottingham. So I would have a deck of cards, or I'd have a hand of cards here. I'd have 6 cards in my hand. Now, there's this phase that you go through where you're allowed to discard cards and draw cards, and that gives the sheriff some information, right? So let's say we're playing a 5-player game, and I look at you and I say, Sheriff, I'm an honest merchant. You trust me. We just met, Eric, but you can really trust me. I have 3 dirty, filthy, rotten mead, and I don't want to bring this into the city. I don't want to get caught, so I'm going to discard those 3 mead, and I'm going to draw 3 cards from the top. So now you know there's a pretty good chance that I probably have some legal goods in my bag. Now I could sit here with my 6 cards and we go into what's called a load merchant bag phase. Everyone does this at the same time. I'm going to put 5 cards in my bag and I'm going to look you in the eye and I'm going to tell you, Sheriff, I'm honorable. I'm going to bring in 5 apples into the city. And I give you my bag. Everyone else does that at the same time. And then it's up to you, based on the number of players in the game, you get a certain time frame. In a 5-player game, you're going to have 4 minutes. You have to then barter, bribe, and negotiate to determine who's telling the truth or who's not. You could be as chaotic as, I'm just going to rip open every bag and I'm going to look in every bag, but you run the risk of paying a lot of penalties. Or you could start to negotiate with people in the terms of, hey Scott, 5 of a kind's pretty hard unless you stack the deck and you're cheating, so I don't think you're going to have it. Why don't you just give me 2 gold, 3 gold to let you go through the city and everything will be okay. So I'll ask you, since you have no idea, we just did this blind, do you think I have 5 apples in there?
No.
Okay, so I would probably tell you, so the apples would be worth 10 points if I got them in. And if you falsely accuse me, that could be a 10 gold penalty to you. I don't want you to have to pay that much. I like you. You're a good sheriff, right? So I could maybe say, you know what, Sheriff, why don't you, I'll give you 2 gold and you let me go into the city. And then it's up to you to start to think, well, wait a minute, a contraband could be worth 6 to 9 points. Maybe I want more money from him, right? And start to negotiate back and forth like that. So let's say we got to a point, and I'll let you make your decision blind, okay? Let's say we got to a point where either I'm paying you a certain amount of money to look in the bag, or you're gonna let me through. So which would you make? Let's say we agreed on a money amount, you know, for sake of time in the video and everything. Say we agreed on a money amount and you're either taking the deal or not taking the deal.
I'll take the deal.
Okay, all right, so you would take the deal, I would give you money. Let's say I gave you 2 gold. It was the initial discussion and you said, okay. I would then open my bag, and this happens immediately because, again, you could let someone through and they would open their bag immediately and you get to see their cards, so you get more information to then work with the other players in the round. So I would open my bag and I would show everybody that in fact I am a cheater and I do have 5 apples and stack the deck, which is pretty amazing. But I would get those, and because I said I had apples, that's totally good and legal, I would get all 5 of those in front of my player board. It's worth 10 points to me at the end of the game. And more importantly, there are set bonuses for the goods. So right now, I would be the Apple King of Nottingham, and I'd be well on my way to getting an additional 20 points. You would have made out okay, but in this case, I would possibly have been offering you some money to make you think you need to look in my bag, because if you had looked in my bag, I would have gotten those in as well, because I was telling the truth, and I would have gotten 10 gold from you. So there's a lot of negotiation and bluffing, and you know, hey, don't worry, I'm fine, or hey, look at that guy. Other players can jump in as well. You could have a situation where someone else is in the game, I offer you 2 gold to look in my bag, and he goes, whoa, I walked up to the gate with that guy, I don't trust him at all. I'll give you 5 gold to look in his bag, right? So lots of negotiation things and lots of fun that you can do and have a really good time with it. Because the players open the bags immediately, that's where a lot of the laughter comes in, because you could say, I believe you, I trust you, you've got your 5 apples, bring them in. And if I had actually had 3 contraband and 2 apples, then what happens is I open my bag, I reveal the legal goods that I've brought into the city, and my contraband goes down. So you immediately know, oh, you filthy liar, you lied to me. So you get that immediate satisfaction of, were you correct? Did you call their bluff right? Or were you incorrect? And do you know now more information as they move on down the road? So
I really like this idea of all the sort of open trading of everything, and everybody's allowed to interact on everybody's turn. About how long does this typically run?
3-player game will run about maybe 20 to 30 minutes. 5-player game runs about 45 minutes to an hour. So it's variable depending on the number of players you get. But even in a full 5-player game, even with new players, it moves very quickly, and you can do it in about 45 to 60 minutes. You can also, once goods are out on the table and people have gotten goods into the city, you're allowed to barter and trade with goods. So you could be a pretty strict sheriff. You could have, in a previous turn, gotten a couple apples in, and you could look at me and say, hey, I am not letting you through unless you give me those apples, because you want to try and get the apple majority as well. So you can be as loose, as fun, as strict, or as hard as you want to be. And we've actually had a lot of fun playing this. We had a couple of people played who were in their 60s, and we had a couple of people play who were teenagers as young as 13. Everyone's had a great time. In fact, 13-year-old, I won't say her name, but everyone's been calling her the contraband queen. She has just tore up, and she has beat people pretty handily, so it's been pretty fun. So we have learned definitely, and I think this goes for every type of game that has bluffing and negotiation in it. If anyone sits down at your table and they look you in the face and say, you know, I'm not really good at lying games, they're lying.
Well, since Tom Vassell seems to think that this is an essential for everybody's collection, what's the street date for this?
So like I said, we're going to have about 400 to 500 copies at Gen Con, be a limited release there, and then we'll have it out a little bit after that, about a month and a half after. We haven't set a street date yet because we still don't have dates from our shipper yet, but it'll be about a month and a half after Gen Con. So mid to late September, worst case beginning of October.
All right.
And if you're at Gen Con, we'll have it at our booth. We'll actually be demoing it at our booth. We'll have some copies available there for sale. So if you come by, we're going to be in booth 743 at Gen Con, so you can come check it out.
All right. Well, that is Sheriff of Nottingham. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.